They sure do.
Okay, 7 o'clock. Time to get started. This is December 19th, 2025. And we are on page 346. We're looking at the big section of what we're looking at is humanity and current events. And we're on, actually, I told you 344. It's actually 346. End of life and medical advocacy decisions, and how the Imago Dei plays a vital part in making those decisions. So let's pray. Father, some of us have to face these decisions already, and some of us are going to be forced to face these decisions probably in the near future. Give us insight, give us wisdom, more than anything, give us your spirit, that we would be able to know how best to handle these decisions, and what your word has to say, and what the principles that you've revealed in your word would tell us about how we make these decisions and how we even formulate in our mind to come to a decision. Just be with us now as we talk about these things. May your spirit guide us and illuminate our hearts and our minds so we can better understand your heart and your mind. In Jesus' name we pray. Bottom of 346. One of these considerations that 21st century American citizens tend to obscure or ignore is that human life is not necessarily terminated on planet Earth. For those that are in Christ can expect eternal life with God and Jesus based on the revealed Word of God and the promises of God in the Bible. Another consideration in making sure that we do not diminish or obscure human dignity in our efforts to extend or preserve life unthinkingly. Modern medical and technological advances have brought great possibilities and expectations for extending life, but they have also brought a new set of ethical considerations that must be dealt with and considered when making end-of-life decisions for oneself or for the sake of a loved one. Someone read that quote by Johnny Erickson Tada, if you would, please.
Since the Bible is a book to be applied in practical living, we need to consider the many different situations that a person can face today. Use of a respirator may be good in one situation, bad in another. Kidney dialysis may be appropriate for one person, but not for the next. Chemotherapy may be great for some, but wrong for others. Radical amputation may be considered an ordinary procedure on a 17-year-old diabetic girl, but on a 90-year-old man struggling with diabetes, it may be futile and burdensome.
Thoughts? I don't know if you hear coming through what Johnny has to say here, but Ecclesiastes 3 is definitely in play.
Oh, yeah.
Often it's not always clear, which is true. That's the problem.
Yeah, it sure is.
You know?
And folks, as a pastor, when I had parishioners that had to make these kind of decisions, when it wasn't clear, I supported them no matter what decision they made, because they were the ones in authority. And if I've learned anything through Scripture, God works through those in authority that need to make the decision. He doesn't necessarily work through some neighbor down the street. They may be helpful in giving insight to the person needing to make a decision, but God ultimately will reveal himself one way or another to the person that needs to make that decision. And so once they've made it, if it's not clear what should be done, I support them in doing that. And there's been some really naughty situations over the course of my ministry. So, other thoughts?
When our children were young, Doris and I often said that if either of us got cancer and needed chemotherapy, we'd probably go through it where we wouldn't now.
Yeah.
I don't know what we'd have done in our 50s.
No man's land.
Right.
I know my grandmother, she had diabetes, and she got to where with the circulation in her feet, she got gangrene. And she really needed the amputation, but she absolutely refused to die without all of her body parts, and she made the end of her life very burdensome.
Sure.
Because that took a lot of care.
Oh, sure.
So, yeah.
And it's painful.
Yeah.
The catch is you don't know how much care she would have required had she had the amputation. You know, I remember, my mom, a long story, but she was brought back. She actually, brought back. And then as she continued to lose her ability to do anything, you know, she was, why did you just let me go? You know, so often that was the question that she posed to us kids. Why didn't you let me go? What I saw was wonderful. You know, and
It was something as simple as they were changing the battery on her pacemaker, and when they took the battery out, she went and they couldn't put it back in to keep her going. It seemed so obvious at the time, but she said, why did you just let me go?
Yeah, Ted.
My grandma went to stay at my aunt's house, and my aunt was a nurse. And my aunt was like taking care of her, and she said, now you have to get up and sit in a chair to eat. And Grandma said, I am not eating anymore, and I'm not gonna get up and get in a chair. And they tried to get her up, and she just like went limp and went down to the floor, and she refused to eat and refused to go on anymore. She was done.
So how long was it then before she
About 3 days.
Oh, really?
She was definitely done then.
She was done with it.
Mom, it's been so, I'm sure all of you have heard this. In August, when she fell and went in to the hospital, she was still on full code.
Wow.
And she was 99, and but she was living by herself and driving, and you know, she was going to church. She was quite So anyway, the nurses, when she went in for the rehab facility for rehab, they said, now Lita, do you realize you're full code? And she says, yeah. I want to be full code till October 14th. And she was. And then, so she had her 100th birthday. And then a couple weeks later, when I was down there, I said, Mom, you know, there's something we really ought to talk about. And so we discussed the whole thing about DNR and all this. And she's gone, yep. I said, now you'd said you wanted to be full code till you're 100. Well, that you're there. So do you really want to be put on machines if you end up having medical situations that come up? And she's going, no. Yeah. And so she switched over to DNR. It's comfort care DNR, so
Sure.
there's a little bit more with it. But yeah, it's like, well, and then the nurses were so happy.
Well, they get stuck in all sorts of precarious decision-making processes too, so.
Well, they were very realistic at U of M when Kevin went in the last
sure.
time, because they said, do you realize, like, if we have to do CPR or anything, you're gonna deal with broken ribs and all this kind of stuff that you may not be able to work through very well in your condition. And so he, at that time, he finally decided to do the DNR.
Yeah, sure. Other thoughts? Someone read the C. Everett Koop quote right in the middle of 347.
Dr. C. Everett Koop, the former Surgeon General, has said, "There is no way that there can be a set of rules to govern this circumstance. Guidelines may be possible, but not rules."
He's talking about end-of-life decisions, and especially about using machines and stuff to keep people alive. And I think he's spot on. I think to impose any kind of rule or any kind of legislation of what you can and cannot do is, every circumstance is different.
Yeah.
Every set of circumstances is different. So. Jan wants to say something, so stall for another 20 seconds till she swallows.
He's very, very good. Oh. I'm gonna call them cookies because but it's cookies. Oh man, is it good. Our answer to this is from our society.
Well, unfortunately, society has confused it a lot.
Right, but in other cultures in the world, other government systems in the world, let's see, okay, we're looking at, we're wanting to look at this from how would God feel about this
Sure.
answer? And I think our society, the answers we've been given and stuff, I think our society kind of falls with, and you know, it's not a law, but it's guidelines.
Sure.
All that kind of fits with what Scripture, what God probably intends. But if you're in a communist country or some other country where life means nothing,
Right.
then that doesn't, that, I don't know.
It's really not an
anybody know if
option.
it is even, yeah, they just kill anybody that's gonna be expensive to them or something? I don't know. How does
Well,
that?
actually, that's happening north of the border now, too.
Yeah. They try and talk them into
Yeah,
killing
it's
themselves.
Assisted
crazy.
Suicide.
It's absolutely crazy.
They're talking about Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Ted.
I heard on the radio, some state just legalized assisted suicide, and it's now in the 11 states.
Wow, yeah.
So we're headed that way too.
Well, hopefully they don't try and talk them into it. In Canada, they're like, even for a young person that something happens to, well, you know, you're just, and they've got lots of life to live and great possibilities for moving forward with their situation. Well, you're gonna just be a burden to everybody. You really should just kill yourself. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Do you know for sure that that's what they're saying in those words?
I've heard
Yeah,
that. I've heard that from a lot of
exactly.
different
You're
people.
gonna be a burden.
You're a
You
burden.
should
It's not
kill
that
yourself.
life's going to be hard for you. It's
No.
that you're going to be a burden.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy.
It is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But given the perspective that we have on our value and our worth, well, why would we expect anything else? I mean, again, it's just one of those landslides that once you're at the top of the slide, you're going down, you know?
It's not coming back. Yeah.
And people don't see that as an end result of socialized medicine, but it is.
Well, the minute the institution can save money by promoting that, that's what they're gonna do.
You know, I don't see how, following exactly what you're saying, when we will tell pregnant young ladies that baby is an inconvenience and you need to get rid of it, that's even worse than, because the baby has nothing, no health issues that are going to cause it to be a burden to society. But it's still, get rid of it.
Other thoughts?
So I'm contemplating Ted's grandma. I had an aunt that chose to stop eating. That's not assisted suicide, but is it a form of suicide?
Whoa. Whoa, it's getting deep in here.
Why would it not be? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not instant, but it is, and I can't say that I think it's wrong to do that.
I know
If a
from my
person If
father,
a person chooses that.
his abdominal cancer got to the point where nothing tasted good. And his end of life was imminent anyway. And we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. And so for me, it was not a problem at all for him to stop eating and because he just, it served no purpose for him as far as why would he want to perpetuate his life? It didn't taste good, so why would I want to put this down my throat and have it not taste good? And so it was really easy for him to make that decision.
And I don't have a problem with what Ted's grandma did. I just trying to think
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
that is.
So how is that, where is that gray line between what's happening in Canada? Other than for the officials to say, you ought to kill yourself.
Right.
But for a person, to make a decision that I really wish I wasn't continuing to live. And if I do this or don't do this, I will speed that up.
As we're going to look at a little bit, if death is imminent, it changes the whole dynamics of that decision.
Because in our country, we do everything. The medical profession does it. everything to keep somebody alive.
Comfort care, yeah.
Yeah, keep them alive as long as you.
Well, I think you're
regardless
talking
of
putting them on machines and stuff.
Whatever,
Just
anything. Machines,
More
medication,
medicine, more
anything.
procedures.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that gets abused sometimes, yeah.
I think these situations too, if you were healthy and decided not to eat, I think your body would eventually get hungry enough that you'd take a lot of willpower to starve yourself to death.
Yeah, I think
No.
people that are like Ted's grandma were on the edge, and 3 days really isn't that long. I mean, I know a lot of people that don't eat for 3 days
Yeah.
and get along fine, so.
Yeah, those that fast for 40 days.
Well, your doctor would tell you not to try that. We'll take a look at that a little bit more, hopefully as we get down the path here. Somebody read top of 348, Norman Geisler.
Life has become so mechanized that technology has created its own new reality. The scientific advances that have made the extension of life possible have also made the process of dying longer. Technology is a mixed blessing. Hence, an important moral decision should be made at a very early state concerning whether it is necessary to put someone on a life support machine or not.
Yeah, I think that's really, really crucial, and Gene and I put that into our will 5 years ago when we wrote that up. Whenever it was. So it's not a decision that Jody, Jake, and Julie have to make. Hopefully it's clear in there what they do. And that, because emotions can really, really play a part in how you make your decision, and that's not always a good judge of how the decision should be made. Other thoughts? Yeah, Ted.
They mentioned technology, and I heard them talking this week that they implanted 2 chips in a person who was paralyzed from the neck down, and they put a chip in their head and a chip in their arm, and now they can use their arm because it bypassed the spine.
Right.
It goes from chip to chip,
Right.
and they can move their arm around and do things that before they said they can touch their face and they can feed themselves.
Yeah.
And before they had no use of their arm.
That's great.
Yeah.
So-
Elon Musk had that technology about a year ago, but he didn't do anything as far as practical application to it. But the technology was there a year ago. It's just a matter of people developing it to do things like this. But that's one of the reasons why he developed it, is to give paraplegics and quadriplegics use of their limbs once again. So, yeah, there's and we'll talk about some of the more questionable. That one I really appreciate. I don't think we should have any problem at all with that use of that technology. There's other uses of the technology that I have real serious problems with. So, and I think the people that I've read have given really good guidance on how you make that decision. I think hopefully in the next 5 pages we'll see what they have to say and hopefully be able to be a little clearer on how we make that decision, the basis of that decision. Yeah, Fred.
I think one of the really thorny issues with this technology, because I saw something just to highlight out from 60 Minutes as well about some miracle drug, is that as this technology develops, though, it's not free or cheap.
Oh, sure.
And how do you make that decision on, I mean, because, just the whole, the cost of, it's very practical.
You're paying.
It's amazing that a paraplegic or a quadriplegic, I mean, you think of Joni Eareckson Tada, who's been in that situation for 50, 60 years now.
Yeah, right.
Imagine her being able to actually use her limbs again. But, I mean, the very real practical
Cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And folks, one person didn't develop this technology. This was a team of researchers for decades probably coming up with this technology, and they have to be paid. And so it's not cheap. I heard Lee Snyder, I think I shared this with you, had a heart valve replacement through his groin.
Yeah.
My dad had a heart valve replacement, and they had to take a buzzsaw and cut his sternum and open him up with a pliers, and that's the way they replaced it. I was absolutely shocked that but folks, that technology doesn't come overnight. I mean, can you imagine all that went into doing that kind of technology? You can change your heart valve through the groin area with just a little tube. Same thing with a heart cath. I mean, it's no different than a heart cath.
Mom has she's got a pig's valve, replaced her aortic valve when she was 97. And the idea of it is for older people to be able to get a valve replacement and it still be valuable.
Sure.
Because it's so simple to do it. It's not, the procedure.
Not nearly as invasive.
Yes, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was incredibly invasive. In fact, I think that's what ultimately killed him, personally. I think it was just so hard on his body because he was, 89 or something, 88 or something like that when he had it, and it's just too hard on him.
Yeah.
So. Going on. Someone read Johnny Exentata. This is important to understand this too.
Dying begins when a person rapidly and irreversibly deteriorates. A person for whom death is imminent, a person who is beyond reasonable hope of recovery. Such people have a right to not have death postponed.
Hopefully that'll be a little clarity to your question. And folks, hopefully you all know Johnny Exentata well enough to know that when she speaks on these issues,
Right.
it carries a lot more weight
Yeah,
than just somebody down the street.
Yeah, that's right.
And that is, if anybody would be able to say, okay, because life is going to be very, very difficult at this point, that her injury
Yeah.
was not irreversibly deteriorating her body. It
Right.
immediately deteriorated it, and then it stayed at that point from there on. But that any deterioration can be a cause for saying, I want to die, even though it's not leading to death. The stage where you're at that point isn't going to get any worse. Does that make sense?
Okay, but let's say that it is, all right?
Yeah, and we're all throwing around stuff that.
Okay, so I was diagnosed, 9 going on 10 years ago with a terminal illness,
Mhm.
which gives me 12 years max. Okay. During that time, there's a series of deterioration, there's a process of deterioration. Okay, it's irrevocable, can't go back. So, should I have decided 9 years ago, look, I'm on a trail of death, so here we go.
Mhm.
Does that justify it? Also, I have basically no appetite. I eat because I have to eat. So, if I didn't have a very solid belief in the value of life and that God is not done with me yet, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
Why? When Larry says, Larry's, okay, it's kind of the meal time.
Time to eat.
And the thought of food is repulsive to me. So the easy way out would be to say, look, this is my situation, just as she's described. I'm rapidly and irreversibly deteriorating, so therefore, this justifies it.
I'm not sure 12 years is rapidly.
Well, I said, my policy is that the 12 years, it is true that statistically is true. I mean, that's,
6 to 12 is the average.
yes,
Right, okay.
at 6 is it's like a bell curve,
Sure.
And so you're diagnosed here, and it depends, anyway.
Depends on who your husband is.
Well, there might be a lot of truth to that.
Absolutely. And who your God is. I say, okay, they say 12 years, but God can do anything.
Yeah.
All right, so, and that is true. It is also true that, again, because of what we have, I feel, it's true that I'm requiring more and more and more rest. But when I am rested, I feel better now than what I have felt for a number of years.
Cool, good.
Because of the docs. Again, a part of the trajectory of this disease is malnutrition, probably because you don't feel like eating.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
So you don't. Consequently, but he's really lassoed this in and said, okay, you need X number of grams protein per meal, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
Blah. And so, I feel very grateful for him, but I can see, this is where the rubber meets the road.
Sure.
That if it were, I could easily buy into something like this.
When I think C. Everett Koop's quote is really important, is that there's no right or wrong answer for these kind of decisions, especially in this situation. And I think as a Christian, we need to rely heavily on the Spirit of God to tell us, no, I'm going to fight for every day that I can, or no, it's time to give up, and 3 days later, because I didn't eat, I'm gone. Yeah, Jan.
I think too, where we're living in history, I think makes things different right now than they were 15
Oh, that's huge.
Because
We're going to come to that too.
Oh, okay. but like, part of where you're able to hang on so well, so long, in what the average diagnosis was for this, also is probably reflected in more medical situations. Mom was diagnosed 2017, something like that, with COPD. And I looked it up on the internet, and it was like there was only a few years of life expectancy at that point. And the COPD that actually didn't kill you. It was you coughed so hard, because you had so much phlegm, that it would cause a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
That's how most people back at that time, and so the what is the prognosis for it was just a few years. Well, a few years ago, Trilogy came on the market, and she doesn't even cough anymore. And it's like, wait a minute, you were supposed to die a few years ago. but so that's a little bit of why to take the route you took, because we don't know. Right now, they say, oh, this is what the life expectancy is for this disease. But a year from now, they can have a cure for it.
Sure.
Total cure for things. So to hang in there, I guess that gives you reason to do what you've done. Because
I had a brother-in-law that died from hepatitis C, the worst one, and there was an age range of people that somehow got it back in the 60s. And like a couple months after he died, they found a cure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you just never know. That was heartbreaking, because he was just, wasn't quite 60.
Oh,
He had kids and grandkids, and would have liked to have been around a while longer, but just don't know.
Absolutely.
I like what Doris said to somebody once when they said, I didn't know you had a terminal illness. She said, we all do.
Exactly.
Yes.
I was going to mention that earlier, but then I didn't think it was appropriate. But I think it is appropriate now.
What is it you say about death that's 100%?
Yeah, it's 100%.
Yeah, that's certainly that we're all going to die.
I don't think you're going to escape it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at page 349, top 20%. That quote by C. Everett Koop again. If someone is dying.
If someone is dying and there is no doubt about that, and you believe, as I do, that there is a difference between giving a person all the life to which he is entitled as opposed to prolonging the act of dying, then you might come to a time when you say, this person can take certain amounts of fluid by mouth, and you're not going to continue this intravenous solution because he is on the way out.
Thoughts? Kind of addresses a lot of the things we've been talking about here lately.
Well, that's what they do. My dad couldn't eat at all anymore in the end, and I think the IVs that they gave him kept him alive a lot longer.
Sure.
Because, so he was suffering, and that really just prolonged.
I had lady that was in the Hillsdale Hospital that did not want any heroic efforts at all, which included a respirator, and her family members decided to put her on one, and the whole time I could just tell this snarl on her face that this is not what I want. This
Because
is
once
not
they
what I
put her
want.
on it, they couldn't take her
Yeah,
off.
they couldn't take her off.
The
Yeah.
doctors wouldn't let them.
Right. And she ended up dying with the respirator, and I just, and she would have died really, really quickly without it. I mean, just, her body was not capable of exchanging air in order to be able to sustain life, and so it would have been only maybe an hour or two that she would have lived without it, so. But that was one I probably should have pushed a little harder for the family not to do that. But how do you tell them, don't keep your loved one alive?
Yeah, and being a minister, we're all talking about personal decisions of ourselves or family or whatever. You're in a position to.
You're supposed to give counsel for another family that you're not as emotionally tied to. And that's a whole nother ballgame.
It is.
You have a longer relationship with them at that point than you do with the one that's dying too. because
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
assume you'd be doing the funeral and stuff like that, so then there could be hard feelings. There's a lot more.
Dynamics.
Yes.
Whole lot more dynamics. Going on, someone read the Norman Geisler, bottom quarter of 349.
Natural means includes food, water, and oxygen. Unnatural means would definitely include a respirator, an artificial heart, or a kidney machine. However, things which do not fall clearly into these categories, such as intravenous feeding, oxygen mask, and antibiotics, pose a problem. Although intravenous feeding is not a natural in the sense of being produced by nature, neither is it purely artificial, since it is food, and food is a natural means of sustaining life. Hence, to withdraw someone's intravenous feeding can be tantamount to starving him to death. The same would apply to artificially supplied oxygen. In these cases, the morality of the decision will be conditioned by the availability of the technology. Obviously, if the special equipment is not available, there is no moral obligation to use it. The same is true of all technology and drugs. Heroic efforts with unnatural means are not a moral duty when one is irreversibly ill.
Thoughts? People in Guatemala don't have these decisions.
Well, intravenous is not giving them food, I'll tell you that much, because they can't put food in
Sure,
you
sure.
intravenously.
Just
So
fluids.
they're kind of, they don't understand.
On Hogan cereals they can. But
They can give you nutrients through it?
No, it can't, because it has to come in the form that our body makes it when we absorb it through our bloodstream, and they can't put it in that form. in
It's
IV.
pretty much clear liquids, is it?
Yeah, saline solution with
Right.
a little bit of sugar. That's it. Because I asked about that when Kevin couldn't eat anymore. He says, well, can't you give him food through the IV? And they explained that to me.
Yeah. They came
And
through a
it makes
G-tube,
sense.
but
Yeah,
that's
but
basically
not-
using your normal,
Yeah.
Not through an IV, but
Yeah.
so another means, okay.
right.
Okay, say that again, because I'm going, why do they call it intravenous feeding if they can't put food through it?
Well, that's what I mean. This is,
Not quite
not
scientifically correct.
accurate.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand apparently what is real.
Well,
what it
it's
is.
the general term for
Yeah.
setting up an IV is,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what is it, what's the process for giving people food that can't actually chew food?
G-tube,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
either down your throat or
Uh-huh.
implanted in your
That's okay, and I
Stomach.
wasn't.
Because you hear
okay.
it's commonly called a feeding tube, is that the same thing?
Yeah.
gastronomic tube, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what so they.
The nurses
do
always
that.
call it a G-tube.
I have the most wonderful G-tube with me. Who stands over me and sticks the straw in my mouth and says, drink.
And the G-tube even speaks, huh?
Very emphatically.
She was in the hospital, I had
Do sometimes.
This, on top of 350, Johnny Erickson Tada again. This quote is really, really important. In fact, it was really insightful for me.
A patient who is very close to death may be in such a condition that fluids would cause a great deal of discomfort or may not be assimilated by the body. Food may not be digested as the body begins shutting down during the dying process. There comes a time when a person is truly, imminently dying.
Yeah,
Yeah, I bet you saw that at the nursing home a lot.
yeah, you go in, somebody would say, oh, okay, the dying process, they're in the dying process.
Right.
Actively
It is
dying.
active, yeah, with the modeling of the feet and hands, and yeah, you can just tell that their body organs
Shutting
are
down.
shutting down.
Right.
Yeah.
Going on, middle of 350, and again, Johnny Erickson Dada. This is a really interesting quote too.
Proverbs 31, 6 and 7 makes a strong case for strong analgesics. Give beer to those who are perishing, wine to those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. In the context of Proverbs, wine is a bad and deceitful thing. But in these two verses, its anesthetic and analgesic qualities are commendable for those who are dying or in anguish.
Thoughts?
Interesting.
You often say it's important to know what time it is.
Yeah.
And that's what this is.
Exactly.
What time is it?
I have here about my father. He hated morphine, and that's what the hospice prescribed for him during the dying process, because he could no longer think straight, and he would see all sorts of images and stuff, and so he just got to the point where he just didn't want to have it at all. But then he'd go 2 or 3 days without it, and he was in such pain that he just wanted to be relief. So we give it to him, and then when he finally was wearing off, he said, "I don't want that again." So the morphine went in and no for the last 2 or 3 weeks that he was alive, and then he passed away. But he went back and forth from wanting it and not wanting it, and I can understand why that was. My dad hated to not have his mental facilities about him, and just absolutely despised that morphine. So.
Yeah.
Until it was too painful, then he wanted it.
Well, I was gonna say, there comes a point where the pain is so
Right.
much you can't think straight either.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I've only been in a lot of pain once in my life, not childbirth even, when I had appendicitis. I'm pretty sure my appendix ruptured in the emergency room because they ruptured by the time I went to surgery, but I couldn't even read a magazine or anything because I was in so much pain in that.
Sure.
So that's the only thing I can relate to, and I couldn't understand why I wouldn't wanted anything to get.
Get in your way of
Yeah,
that.
but they had to go through all the tests before they could go to surgery, so. Took a long time.
Other thoughts? But I just found this passage from from Proverbs 31 really, really interesting. Okay, top of 351. Someone read that quote from John Frame.
Death is, of course, the last enemy, but it is not on that account always to be resisted. God's people can accept death because they look forward to the certainty of immediate fellowship with God and the future resurrection of the body. They are not suicidal, but when it is evident that their life is at an end, they do not desperately, against all natural possibilities, seek its prolongation.
Thoughts? I think that might have been where your grandma was. Ted?
When Christ has had victory over death, it kind of takes away death is, of course, the last enemy
Right,
for Christians.
sure. I feel that way, especially when I'm doing a funeral of a believer.
And to live is Christ and to die is gain.
Right, right.
How can the Apostle Paul say that if that isn't true?
Yeah.
He would be speaking with a forked tongue, and I can't accept that. So
And, in thinking about, praying about, praising or thanking God for, a few of the things he's done for us. The victory over death and the victory over Satan were both
And they're one and the
accomplished
same.
Yeah.
Hebrews 2:14 basically says that we've disarmed Satan because we no longer have fear of death.
And
We've neutered him.
there is so much to be so deeply thankful for that only Christians can grasp
Yeah.
from that whole thing.
That's why there's a stark difference between the funeral of a believer and the funeral of a person who was totally lost. I mean, it's always comforting to come into a funeral home when I'm doing a funeral service of a person I'm pretty sure is a believer, and everybody's laughing, they're enjoying it, because they know where their loved one is. And it's just entirely different in the death of an unbeliever. And it's, people won't go in, they can't
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
they can't look, they can't, I mean, they're scared spitless, and total difference.
Our entire conversation this evening, those that are believers have one perspective on it.
Oh, well, sure.
And and everybody in here is coming from that perspective. But if we had this conversation, this study in the general public,
They'd think we're nuts.
there would be many
We're not dealing with reality.
comments coming out, yeah. Interesting.
Which, well, never mind. Other thoughts?
Well, I guess what it really troubled me, again, I have said I'm ready to die, so when
Sure.
I go, just let's have a party. Okay, but anyway, at the same time, I think it really, I have struggled with the fact that when I was losing it, my thoughts were not spiritual. That was, I guess I expected it to be kind of a spiritual moment or a something, but I was focused on managing life. How is that?
The human side of things. You're still a human.
Well, I guess, so my question is, isn't there's something about our bodies that resist dying? That
Absolutely.
is not a fear of death. That doesn't have anything to do necessarily with our relationship with the Lord. But it's just our natural inclination to fight to live. Is that-
Absolutely. It's inherent within us. It can't be denied until it has to be denied.
Okay, and I guess because we've had these wonderful conversations about not fearing death, and I believe that absolutely. But then I experienced when I was losing it for it to be more of a spiritual experience, and it just, I
There
mean,
were a couple times when she was in the hospital with hip surgery more than a year ago that she felt herself going a couple times. That's what she's talking
Sure.
about.
Sure.
but anyway.
And I
so
think
I
it-
was troubled because it wasn't more of I'm coming.
Oh,
You know,
well, it's not your time,
well,
obviously.
Because I think about, I don't want to die right now. I know where I would be, but it's like, I love my kids and I want to see
Sure.
grandkids, and there's so many things
Sure.
that I want to experience yet in this world that God gave us.
Sure.
And you love
So-
Dave, don't forget
Well,
that.
I think of those things that, this was before David's. I had those thoughts, and my kids don't have a dad and all that. And of course, things are totally different now, but just, I don't know, that's the natural thing
Sure.
to think about things that, so I've not had my own biological grandchild, and I think that would be kind of cool.
And those are the kind of things that make life worth living.
Yeah.
Sure. But when you're in the position that my father was in, I understand why he no longer saw a life worth living.
Oh, yeah.
So. Okay.
So the question after that, is there any difference between a suicidal death wish and an end-of-life death wish? I think, I guess as I was thinking about this, I thought often a suicidal wish is a wish to avoid something.
Ooh.
Whereas a death wish, you just,
Death wish doesn't seem like the right word for
Maybe.
that second one.
maybe not, but anticipating the entrance
Sure.
to something.
Sure.
Anyway. That may not be.
A suicide is giving up so much of what the future held for them, whereas a person at the end of life is not giving up anything.
A suicide is playing God.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
end of life, God's already got you
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's allowing what God has ordained to play out.
What if you have a life wish?
Ooh.
You just want the better life.
Is
There
that
you go.
suicide one?
That's a new name for DNR.
No, that's the, yeah, that's the.
I have a life wish. I'll resuscitate you.
You just want a better life. You're done with this.
Yeah.
You're done with this miserable one.
It's like, is that the ultimate sin? To kill yourself to be with God?
Well, the Catholics would say so. I don't agree.
If you're just killing yourself to be in heaven.
Yeah. The section on suicide back and the bigger section of death, I agree with Reform pastors and Reform thinkers that say when a person takes their life, they're not thinking straight. And it's hard to hold someone accountable for a decision that they make when they're not thinking straight. In fact, our courts even allow certain crimes to be excused if it's pleading
Crime of
insanity.
passion.
Yeah, well, even,
Well, like you find your wife in bed with somebody else and you go get a gun and shoot them, kind of thing.
well, and someone who takes their own life obviously is under a lot of duress about something. And I'm glad I'm not God to have to make that decision on what their eternal destiny is. But I just know from my experience and from my reading of Scripture and from my understanding of God's grace, it can cover that just as easily as anything else. I just firmly believe that. Now, we're in the next couple of pages, well, maybe. I think playing God is a real serious problem. And in the next section, that's going to be technologically, we're taking God's place in a lot of areas.
I've been thinking a lot this evening about my mother's passing 16 years ago and the decisions my father had to make.
Oh, wow.
She was in the hospital, in a small hospital, and was having enough serious issues that they wanted to transport her to a larger hospital. And they had a DNR and said, no machines, no, nothing. But the ambulance guy said, we're supposed to transport her, let's say, from Hillsdale to Jackson, but we can't transport her unless she's on a respirator. And they said, we don't want a respirator. And they said, then we can't transport her.
Yeah.
And they said, but she needs to go to the other hospital. And I don't know if they offered my dad to drive her or not. I don't
Wow.
know. But they agreed to put the respirator on. Of course, once she got there, they wouldn't take it off, and then they couldn't take it off. And my brother, I flew in from Florida to Ohio. My brother flew in from Colorado to Ohio, spent the weekend with my folks, and we tried to convince my dad gently to go ahead and take her off the respirator. And he said, no, I think maybe she's gonna pull through and she's gonna be okay. Well, we both went back home. 5 days later, he called and said, I'm ready to take it off, ready. And we said, wait, we'll come this weekend and be with you.
Right.
So wait a couple more days. We both flew in again, me from Florida and from Colorado, and then my sister happened to be home from Kenya at the time, and her husband. We were all there in the room, and then they made us leave to take it off. But she passed away within a half hour, and we were there with her.
Wow.
But I thought how much stress my dad had to go
Sure.
through it's kind of in the moment, They had decided, do not resuscitate, no machines. but we want to transport her so she can get better care. But we have to do, and so they went
Wow.
against their own prior decision, you know? And
Wow.
you can look back, should they have just stayed in the small hospital?
Yeah.
Then the question would be, well, if it would have been transferred, would you have made it? You
Right.
know, you'll never have.
You just won't know.
You can play what if for
Yeah.
eternity.
For a long time.
I'm kind of curious here on these two different terms, that this suicidal death and the life death wish. Am I incorrect in maybe thinking that the suicide is more selfish
Yeah, well,
than
sure,
the other one would be?
sure.
Okay.
I think, for me, the biggest consideration is the potential that that life had for productivity, for relationships, for making a difference in the world, for impacting their family, those kind of things. And a suicide is very, very hurtful for those that are close to the person that took their life. And it's incredibly devastating to the people that are close to them. And so that really hurts. Whereas a person that's in the process of dying, nobody regrets that. I mean,
Well, they can't help it either.
yeah, there you go.
They can do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the killer that they just found in the storage unit. What kind of, for people who are perpetrators of crimes, what kind of life do they have to look forward to?
Yeah,
And so, again, with a non-Christian worldview, I'm going to say, whatever that may be, you can see maybe why,
sure.
you know, hey, I don't want to spend the rest of my
Right.
life in prison.
Behind bars.
You know, everybody hating me and, you know, so it seems like such a natural, easy way out.
Well, it is for them.
So there's no hope. There's no hope there for
Right.
the life that could have been.
Right. Yeah.
Is this your term, Keith? End of life death wish, or did you get that somewhere else?
Who knows?
Is there a suicidal death wish and an end of life death wish? If you rewrite this book, call it end of life acknowledgement or.
Oh, there you go.
End of life conclusion.
Yeah, because death wish
Coming
has a
to
whole other
term-
I'll circle that.
Coming to terms with, or concession or
Or
something.
Ted's
Yep,
idea,
that would be a
better
good thing to
life
change.
wish.
Good thing
Or
to
Ted's
change.
idea, what?
Better life wish.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Ted's turn. On the bottom of 351 and the top of 352, I don't know even how I made this transition, but I talk about how abortion is taking the life of a infant in the womb, but I look at that as abortion is even worse than organ harvesting of a live person. Let me read this next to last paragraph in 351. It is conceivable that the American pro-choice view is actually more repulsive than the Chinese medical community and the Bulgarian pimps, because those two groups are at least trying to save another life by taking one. Whereas the American pro-choice group simply exterminates a life because of a convenience or economic reasons, or simply because they choose to take a life.
You don't mean, doesn't the pro-choice, oh, never mind.
I never had put that together, but I think it is more, in my mind, it's more repulsive, although the average American would not accept that evaluation at all. But I look at an abortion as being just killing for killing's sake, whereas at least with organ harvesting, you're saving another person's life by doing it.
Are they harvesting from?
Live people.
Yeah, once it
It's
had.
terrible and
It's-
Not voluntarily, they just.
Oh,
That's
no.
definitely true.
Kids are
Not
sex slave,
voluntary.
and then when they can't do sex slave anymore, then they harvest their organs.
Or
People
in
that
China,
harvest slaves.
Remember, Larry, when we went to the museum in Tampa, where they had the bodies? They had real bodies. And they called that display, the government terminated that display for a while because they were bodies that had been.
From China?
No, like at the Museum of Science and
Cadavers?
Industry,
Oh.
The sliced up body for, so you can see the organs.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Was was that almost artwork display where they had gone through and taken bodies? I
They-
remember something about that, I seen something like that many years ago.
yes, yes. And so they said that they couldn't, it was a tremendous, an absolutely phenomenal display
Huh.
that they had at the museum. And it, I mean, you could easily, when that information came out, then it was easy to believe that because
Oh.
the bodies, some of the bodies were just perfect, but you could, yeah, it was,
Wow.
Made you wonder if they didn't die from natural causes or something.
that was the supposition that they hadn't, that they.
Wow.
Really?
Because the organs were in such good shape.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I
the
never
body-
thought about
yeah.
that.
Oh, I don't.
Yikes.
I-
Yeah, Jim.
Again, you might want to consider rewording this, because I don't believe that the people that are harvesting body parts are doing it to save anybody else's
They're doing it
life.
to make money.
They're doing it to make money.
Well, at least another life is being saved in the
Yeah,
process of making
the
money.
side is that the benefit, but it's nothing that they should get any credit for.
Sure,
Because they're just
sure.
doing it for money.
It's
Sure.
not the same thing.
Yeah,
Does a wrong make a right?
it's right.
And you heard of some surgeon in Mexico?
There was a story.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
There was a story I read, but I couldn't verify it, that a doctor.
I remember hearing that
A
too.
doctor, a
Yes.
doctor in Tijuana would, they were doing cheap surgeries, so people from California would drive down there and get cheap surgeries. Cornea transplants and just cheap facelifts and stuff like that. They had a protocol that if you were from out of town and you didn't have anyone with you and you didn't have anyone to notify as next of kin, if you were keeping this secret, then they would just take you in and you didn't come back from the surgery. And most of the time, nobody even reported anybody missing. And it ended up that they had 351 missing persons at this doctor's spa thing, and they went outside. The cartel had been burying people for them out in the desert, and they found 351 bodies out in the desert.
Selling
But-
organs, right?
They could get, I forget, I don't remember how much.
Hundreds of thousands of
You could
dollars.
get like $1 million for a heart, and they sold kidneys for like $50,000, and corneas were just like $10,000. But your body was worth like $100 million.
Wow.
And they
Except
found,
you didn't see any of that.
they found it because of all the money transfers and
Yeah.
bank accounts and stuff.
One of our online ladies that was checking illegal money transfers found the money trail. They didn't investigate because people were missing. They investigated because he was reporting like $70 million a year, and when she got to looking, he was making like $300 million a year. And that was what tipped them off. So then they started looking.
Follow the money.
So he would advertise a cheap medical procedure, and if you had basically no family, nobody care about you, you just disappeared.
Let's go ahead to page 353, genetic engineering and cloning. To my way of thinking, the field of genetic engineering and cloning epitomizes man's desire to move away from being created in the likeness and image of God, and for man to create himself in his world in his own image. So I want to read that next quote by Norman Geisler.
Humanists believe that man is sovereign over life. Christians hold that God is sovereign over it. This does not mean, of course, that there is no role for technology and medicine to improve human life. It means rather that we do not use it to create human life. It should be used to cultivate, but not to control what God has done.
And if you turn to 354, the top shows the Christian worldview as opposed to a humanist worldview on where they stand on various things. Someone read that quote by Norman Geisler underneath that chart, which this quote kind of explains that chart.
Biomedical issues clutter the stage of crucial ethical decisions. The conflict in opinion on these issues arises out of two opposed worldviews, the secular humanist and Christian perspectives. The former denies a creator, that humans are created and God-given moral obligations. Humans are merely higher animals than... Did I miss a line? Humans are merely higher animals with greater intelligence. This intelligence should be used to improve the human species. Hence, secular humanists favor abortion, euthanasia, and genetic engineering to do so. By contrast with the humanist biomethical ethics, Christians believe that God specifically created humans in his own likeness and gave moral imperatives to preserve the dignity and sanctity of human life. Hence, the Christian obligation is to serve God, not to play God. We are not the engineers of life, but merely its custodians. Medical intervention, therefore, should be corrective, not creative. We should repair life, not attempt to reconstruct it. Technology must serve morality, not the reverse.
Those last three sentences I see is just absolutely crucial. We are not the engineers of life, but merely its custodians. Medical interventions, therefore, should be corrective, not creative. We should repair life, not attempt to reconstruct it. Thoughts? Huge, 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 huge. Because when you see a lot of what technology is doing, it either is doing to correct things like what Ted mentioned earlier about the chips allowing paraplegics to be able to use their arms. That's a corrective surgery. If you have chips that now allow them to pick up cars and throw them into the next county, that's creative. That's doing things that your body was never intended to do.
Like the $6 million.
Yeah, it's exactly what the $6 million man was all about. And unfortunately, it's what a lot of technology is trying to do anymore. And we're going to look at several of those examples as we go through. Thoughts on this quote? Because I think it's really, yeah, Fred.
Well, probably the one thing is just thinking about it, you just think how many times, the natural order is so complex. And there's been great understanding, but we're nowhere near having the full comprehensive effect of everything that can happen. And just think, we could give hundreds, give all sorts of examples where we tried to mess with ecosystems and they turn out to be a train wreck because of something we tried to put in to take care of this invasive species or that invasive species, and it backfires because we didn't consider
everything,
the tens of thousands. And when I just think about with a lot of this kind of stuff, when you're, as I said, try to fix something, which is basically what makes sense. There's a break in the chain, and so they go around the chain with these chips. But when you're trying to make something completely new, especially, you talked about what they do with genetic engineering, where you're trying to create humans or big creatures with specific...
Or super antibiotics.
Exactly, and the consequences of those they're just not thought out.
We're going to definitely hit those up between now and whenever we get done with this section. Yeah, Jan, go ahead.
This chart right here and these two paragraphs, it's scary how much of this is why we have two very competing fractions in our politics now.
Absolutely.
And decades ago, I used to think, I've been thought of myself, I would vote more Republican than Democrat. Actually, I don't know if I ever voted any Democrat, but I went and I looked at the candidates, and if they were right to life, that's who I was wanting to support, and I based my political thinking on life values, and it basically usually fell into the Republican category. But then I think, well, there's also the other things, the economy. Well, that's, there's more than one way to fix the economy. And so either perspective I could see value to, but I'm going to, the life, there's no, you either support life or you don't. So that was a black and white thing. But I felt most of your other political issues that you consider when you're voting for somebody or how to vote on an issue, there would be some give and take from both sides for eons. But 2 or 3 decades ago, you started seeing how there was a division.
Sure.
And it's coming from this. It's coming
Sure.
from the basic
Two different
worldview
worldviews.
or basic biblical view. And now, for so long in our country, if you didn't agree with the biblical worldview, you just were quiet about it. You tried to convince people to do what you wanted, but you weren't. Now it's right out there.
Oh, sure.
It's right out there, and now there can't be a compromise because it's a fight between Satan and God, and it is so prevalent in not just the medical field. It's in the political. It's in all of our mountains.
Oh, sure.
All 7 of them. It's really.
I was screaming at Gene today about a politician who's proposing certain policies that totally ignore human depravity and human nature. And you just can't do that as a leader of any organization.
Yeah.
And they're denying human depravity. They're denying that people will do things that will end up to be they think to their own advantage. And this politician is completely oblivious to any of that. And I'm going, this policy is going to be a train wreck because people are always going to manipulate things in order to work for their good unless the law tells them otherwise.
Yeah. And even then, they don't most of the time.
Well,
But
yeah.
at least it's
Yeah.
there to work.
Exactly. There you go. Other thoughts? Top of 355, that quote by, again, Norman Geisler.
Gene splicing. It is now possible to produce new kinds of biological organisms by splitting the genes of one into another. These laboratory hybrids are already being patented. One such artificially constructed superbug is said to have value in eliminating large oil slicks, since it feeds and multiplies in oil. Many other highly touted uses are in view, including medical cures, higher food production, environmental purification, more useful animals, and even more productive human beings.
Thoughts?
Well, there's a reason why Europe bans genetically modified foods, because our body doesn't know how to digest them.
Sure.
So,
And it's part of what Fred said earlier, that when you start playing with the DNA on things, you're playing with the whole realm of which we've just only in the last 40, 50 years even been introduced to, let alone know comprehensively the effects of what's going to take place.
You said Europe is banned from?
Yeah, you can't have genetically
Interesting,
modified
because
food
Europe
over
has
there.
led us in so many things. They were kind of anti-Christian first. They were pro, what do we call it, genetic alteration, and it seems like they're coming back this way, and maybe we'll follow them. I don't know.
That is what's happening.
Like the food, they have a hard time believing the food we eat because we eat so many processed foods with preservatives in them. All
Like
kinds
the
of junk.
food coloring.
Yeah,
It only is in America for a lot of those.
yeah, because they can make more money off of sick people.
So I'm going to read the next quote underneath that one. All secular humanists.
All secular humanists believe in biological evolution. Many believe that because humans have advanced to such a technological level, they have a duty to guide the future evolution of the race. For some, the hope goes beyond the bionic man to genetically engineered humans. Gene splicing holds the promise of creating and patenting new animals. Sperm bans, artificial insemination, and surrogate mothers now make it possible to breed superior human beings. The ultimate goal is a human being totally engineered to specifications, the creation of a superior breed. Prenatal tests can already warn parents of genetically impure offspring, and abortion can eliminate them. The final goal is for a completely fabricated human being.
And if you follow Breakpoint Daily, about 6 months ago, they said that there's a company that will now test the fertilized egg and tell you the characteristics of that person, and you can either choose to abort it really early on or have it continue on based on whether or not that little baby that comes from that conceived egg will end up being the baby you want.
It was ironic because Star Trek being, technologically advanced everything, in everything bans genetically modified human beings.
I did not know that. Huh. They had the wisdom to be able to insert that into their thinking, huh?
You watch the original Khan. His group was genetically modified, and they were so superior, they thought they were superior to everybody else. And, yeah,
Interesting.
Wrath of Khan.
Oh, sure.
This quote reminds me so much of what Hitler did during World War II.
That's exactly where my next question was going.
We were taught as children that that was horrible what he was doing.
Yes. And here we are.
Here we are.
One thing too, because even when our kids were born, you could have certain tests done where you were supposed to be able to tell whether certain, like whether they have Down syndrome or something like that.
Right.
And we never had it done because they said if it's not gonna make any difference on whether you keep your baby or not, there's no point in having it. But I've heard so many people that had the test were told they're supposed to have this baby with all these problems, and then the baby ended up having none of the problems predicted. And so, I don't know, this whole thing makes me skeptical too. Have they actually improved, or are they just saying more lies, or are they just...
Both. The Breakpoint article 6 months ago basically said that yes, they have the ability to discern all that, but it's not 100% accurate.
Well, they can't even always guarantee in their ultrasound whether it's
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, isn't there if you're getting it done, if you're getting these tests done someplace where there is a business connection to an abortion clinic, there could be, once again, many reasons for lying about what the test results may be.
Sure.
Our son-in-law was telling us about AI. He's very into AI, and he said how that he asked it a specific question, and AI spilled out. And then he says, "Did you make any mistakes in this analysis?" And AI said, "Yes, actually we did." And they had told them different areas that they had made a mistake in that calculation, and that they had fixed it. He said, "AI makes mistakes, so you need to ask."
You can ask the AI if it makes mistakes.
You
That's
guys were saying
curious.
that last night, weren't they? They were talking about how their students use AI to help do their homework, but then AI more than once has been wrong with.
No, my students openly say they don't use AI for math because AI is infamous for getting math problems wrong.
Are you serious?
And if it gets math
Well,
problems,
it takes it from databases, and there's plenty of people who act like they can do math, but they can't do math. So when you have multiple ways and they're just trying to merge them all together, they do it incorrectly.
Well, and a computer's not going to know if it did it wrong.
Exactly. Oh my word. That's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The solution's wrong.
Aren't you glad you're a math teacher so your kids can't use AI?
They still try.
That's the problem, and it's clear to me.
Are you saying AI won't feel bad if you...
Not that AI does not care about your feelings. That's what I tell my students.
Speaking of AI, but I just, somebody forwarding different podcasts. I don't know if you guys have seen the podcast that recently. AI has really been able to pull together so many more fascinating pieces about the shroud of.
Oh, right.
And see, so,
Right.
oh my goodness, there's like a 20-minute podcast describing what AI.
It's pretty fascinating.
It is. I hope it's true. I hope the AI didn't screw up on it, but
The story I read was that AI says the only possible explanation for the Shroud of Turin is that a nuclear flash
Cause the burns.
could cause it without burning up the material.
Right.
And that made me think, when the Old Testament says the earth is clean dissolved, I was wondering if our resurrection comes from a gigantic nuclear.
We'll find out what we did.
Wow.
Oh, goodness.
Interesting.
I want to read the quote on the bottom of about 70% of the way on 355. Researchers have discovered a way to separate X and Y sperm, depending on whether a couple wants a boy or a girl. The mother can be impregnated by artificial insemination with the appropriate sperm. Though this avoids aborting an unwanted baby, it is tampering with reproductive processes morally acceptable. Is a refusal to accept whatever genetic lottery brings an unwillingness to accept what God has willed for the family. If the sex of a child can be predetermined, are we far from producing babies with the genetic design for just those traits we think will make babies perfect? And this was 5-6 years ago this book was written. And Breakpoint about 6 months ago said that we have the technology to do this last sentence. Thoughts? What happens to us in the way we look at our children if we pre-order them? In other words, they're exactly what we ordered them to be.
We're trying to be God instead of letting God.
Well, there's a big problem. Yeah, Fred.
Our wants are flawed.
Ooh.
Our
So
wants
what-
are.
So what we may be desiring from our kids is not necessarily, we may think it's good, but it may not necessarily be good.
Would it change the way we look at the actual child?
Yeah.
Instead of being a gift from God,
Yeah.
it's a product that we've consumed.
And boy, did we goof when we chose you.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Well, I keep going back to like identical twins even. They have different personalities, and just because you ordered traits, they're gonna have their own personality.
That's what this article basically went on to say, the fallacy of thinking that we can get what we order.
Yeah. It's like a recipe for disaster.
Well, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are buying into this big time because it's very appealing to them.
Well, the technology will probably get better.
Oh,
Just
sure.
like AI is getting better and
Sure.
it'll get more and more accurate.
Sure it will. But do we want to even pursue it? Does it change the whole dynamic between parents and child?
It does, of course.
Yeah, I think it does too, and I think it's an irreparable damage in the relationship.
How would you?
And that's not being considered at all by the technological people that are developing this.
And how is that going to spill over to, if babies are created from that type of technology, how are they going to be able to view themselves as created by God?
Oh my goodness.
Formed in their mother's womb when
Oh
that's.
my goodness.
That
I
really
never thought
tampers
about
with
that. Yeah, well, sure it does.
That is kind of scary to, yeah.
Wow. Can you even tell your child that?
I was gonna say, are you gonna admit
Well,
to your
that's
child that you're
Part of
ordering
me thinking is like, because the parents view what the child should be, and then if the child doesn't turn out that be, it's just gonna make it seems like it would make a rift in the, go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish it.
I don't even know what else to say besides that. Go ahead.
Do you remember being a football, for NFL, there was a quarterback in the end, he played college, but basically from age like 4 or 5, his dad was a football coach, and his dad raised him specifically to be a quarterback. His name was Todd Murnovich. And I mean, it was almost this kind of bizarre story because his dad
Programmed him.
fed him a specific way, trained him a specific way
Huh.
to be a college and an NFL quarterback. And I mean, basically the kid, I mean, talking to him, he was very resentful at the end of the day.
Wow.
Because his dad wanted him, and he did get an NFL quarterback, so he played a couple, 3 years for, I forget who now. But I mean,
Wow.
it was this whole story of, It wasn't
a
genetically
passion.
modified, what's that?
It wasn't a passion of his, though.
No, it was something Dad said, this is what you're gonna do, you know, and we're gonna go through the football 50 times a day or whatever, and we're gonna eat these foods and we're gonna lift these way, you know.
Wow.
You know, it was, I remember reading an article in Sports Illustrated when he started college. I think he played for USC or somebody like that, somebody big.
Huh.
But just interesting that, you know,
Yeah.
all of this genetic, I mean, again, so many characteristics come together to make us who we are. I mean, and who knows how many there really are. I mean,
That's key.
and you know, you start piecing things together, and you start getting the Johnny Cash Cadillac type thing.
Oh, wow.
I mean, things just aren't gonna mesh together like, I just wonder,
Yeah.
will they ever mesh together like they should?
Do you guys understand the Johnny Cash Cadillac
No, I
story?
Oh,
He has a song where a guy works at an automobile factory, and every year he's taking out parts, just one part, and over like 10 to 20 years or something, he puts this car together from all these parts, and it's
One Piece at a Time was the name of the song or something like that?
I forget now what the song title
Yeah.
is, but
Okay.
it's this weird Cadillac that is from all these weird parts of.
yes, and what it was, it's 67, 68, 69,
Yeah, the
67.
title was like 10 pages.
Oh, my. Wow.
So kids, do you know, besides choosing gender, what can be chosen, like intelligence level?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
just intelligent or dumb, or
How
Yes.
IQ of
tall.
120?
Yeah.
Yes.
And what else?
Height, weight, facial features, color of eyes, all of those kind of things are genetically
And they can
coded.
They can actually choose that now.
Yes.
And health, like what is?
Yes, health characteristics too. If you're predisposed to being healthy or predisposed to being unhealthy. Yeah, all those things have genetic codings that they've revealed, I guess.
Matt,
Map, that's the word. Yeah, that they've mapped. And so they take these fertilized cells and they can tell you what kind of child you should expect.
They can tell you, but can they change them or modify them?
they're
Well,
working on changing.
yeah, that's,
So now it's not a matter of choosing, I want a kid like this and this and this and this and this, but this is what your kid's genetic code is, do I want him or not?
yes.
Okay.
But you
I
can
thought-
take
I thought
several
you could
fertilized eggs and choose the one you want.
Oh, all right.
They're working now that they could take a single person's and make a baby without another person.
Yeah,
A clone.
we're going to talk about a lot of these kind of things that
But they-
is
they're
really
saying that
weird.
They're there.
Yeah.
They just haven't been successful in doing it yet.
How do you know this stuff?
He's informed.
I think about the Tower of Babel and I keep wondering,
Oh, that's a great illustration.
how long is God going to put up with our trying to be God?
Yes. And I think Fred's exactly right. If you look at the amount of information that science has discovered just in the last 10 years,
Right.
it's doubled what we knew for millenniums before that. I mean, just the last 10 years.
Right.
What should that tell us about what we don't know that we'll discover in the next 10 years that we're playing God with and we don't even know what's there? Because we haven't revealed that yet. And we're making all these decisions based on what we do know, but it should be very, very obvious. There's a lot we don't know. Yeah, Ted, go ahead.
When Fred was talking, it made me think that picking out your child like that is just like pure selfishness.
Oh, well, welcome
You're not letting the
to
child.
21st century Western
You're not letting
civilization.
the child be what the child's supposed to be. You're selfishly demanding what the child.
And I
should
think
be.
that's why the Sports Illustrated connection was so heart-wrenching. This is even worse. Yeah. We're gonna stop because the next section opens up a real big can. We don't have time to go fishing that many worms.
So you're
So
stopping right after the,
356, the next quote we're gonna look at is recombinant DNA, rDNA. That should spark interest with a lot of you.
Recombinant?
Yeah,
Where did you get that word?
I did not.
Like RNA?
It's a quote.
Yes.
Okay.
If you remember, yes,
Yeah, what?
what were you saying?
I said that's a quote.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
rDNA is what the COVID-19 vaccine is based on.
mRNA. The mRNA from our DNA.
It's the same kind of
From our
maneuvering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll start on the top of 356 with that first quote.
January 2nd?
Yes, January 2nd. We will meet unless the snow comes in heavy doses between now and then.
You'll still be in Ohio then.
Oh, cool, good.
Cool, well.
Enjoy it. And hopefully Doris will share the article that I discovered your famous son in.
Oh, okay.
We are privileged to have parents of a celebrity
Yeah.
that meet with us.
What?
Do you see Drake Trent Daily?
What's that?
Yeah,
You get Breakpoint
David Diener was quoted in Breakpoint
Oh, was
Daily
he?
yesterday.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
as classical author David Diener said.
Oh, my.
Hey.
All right. Wow, I know him.
He was genetically selected.
We need to wrap this up quickly because we can't go anywhere but downhill from there.
it's getting deep again, and it's coming close.
Let's close with Silent Night. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Thank you all for coming with the nasty weather and Christmas on the horizon, but appreciate you coming.